You ever feel just overwhelmed by all the possibilities? I mean, totally paralyzed by the sheer number of choices you could make in your career, your life, even just today. Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. In this explainer, we're going to unpack that exact feeling, this modern sense that all our freedom has somehow weirdly built a cage around us. Let's figure out how to navigate it. The poet Leonard Cohen wrote this years ago, and you know what? It's a chillingly accurate metaphor for right now. Think about it. The zoo animal has everything it needs, right? Food, shelter, total safety. It's free from all the burdens of the wild. And yet, there's a sadness to it, a feeling of being trapped, even though you're being taken care of. So that brings us to a really confronting question we have to explore. What if the very thing we value most, our freedom to choose, is also the source of our anxiety? What if we're all just living in a really comfortable, well-fed zoo of our own making? All right, so let's dig in and really understand where this feeling, this sadness of the zoo, actually comes from. Because it's not just you, it's not some personal failing. It's actually rooted in a massive societal shift. See, the core idea here is that in the last few decades, we've gone through this fundamental change in how we relate to the world and to ourselves. And this one change, well, it explains so much of our professional and personal stress. And what is that change? Well, it's a huge shift away from a world of shoulds to a world of coulds. Let's break down exactly what that means. Okay, for centuries, society basically ran on what you could call the burden of shoulds. Life had really clear guardrails. You should respect your elders. You should follow your father's profession. You should believe certain things. The path was, for the most part, already laid out for you. But now we live under the burden of coulds. You could be anything. You could work anywhere. You could completely reinvent yourself a dozen times over. The limits are gone. But here's the reality. We didn't actually escape burden. We just traded one kind for another. We swapped the heavy weight of expectations for the dizzying, vertigo-inducing feeling of infinite possibility. It's like we traded a clear map for a completely blank canvas. And yeah, that's exciting, but it can also be absolutely terrifying. And of course, this new freedom, this blank canvas, it comes at a cost. It's created a couple of major challenges that pretty much define modern life, both at work and at home. So the first price we pay is ambiguity. In our professional lives, we're constantly operating in what people call a VUCA world. Things are volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Project requirements are fuzzy, deadlines are insane, and we're always working with people from different fields whose jobs we don't even fully understand. This world of could is a world with no clear instructions. And this quote from an old Esquire article just nails the second price we pay. The sheer number of things we could be doing, watching, or buying creates this constant state of distraction. It really is like a conspiracy against focus, against going deep, against achieving real mastery in anything. The author, Stephen Pressfield, gives this internal battle a name. He calls it resistance. It's that nagging force of procrastination and distraction that pulls you towards scrolling on your phone when you could be working on that really important project. It's the friction that's created by a world of infinite nagging coulds. Okay, so that's the problem, right? We're in this ambiguous, distracting world of coulds. But we are not helpless. There are antidotes. And the first one involves building some really practical systems to fight back. So to conquer ambiguity at work, our sources point to three really powerful strategies. First, front-load your projects. That means putting in maximum effort right at the beginning to kill as much uncertainty as you can. Second, reframe your focus. Forget the overwhelming final outcome and just focus on the immediate process, like what is the very next step. And third, document everything and follow up. Because, let's be honest, your memory is not nearly as reliable as you think it is. But wait, there's a catch. You can't just apply these systems frantically, trying to hustle your way out of the anxiety. That just adds more stress to the pile. The key is the mindset behind the systems. You need a slow approach. And I don't mean slow as in unproductive. I mean slow as in deliberate, present, and intentional. It's the perfect antidote to that constant sense of urgency that the burden of coulds creates. Now, beyond the systems, the second part of the solution is all about making conscious choices. It's about choosing to fight back against that conspiracy against mastery. It's about choosing to be free within the cage. So how do we actually do that? Well, it starts by creating intentional structure. As you can see, these habits are all about designing your environment, both in your schedule and your physical space, to make focus the path of least resistance. A great example? Just choosing an analog notebook over a laptop sometimes to avoid falling down those digital rabbit holes. And look, it's not just about avoiding distraction, it's about actively cultivating deep engagement, and that requires a real mental shift. It's about falling in love with the process itself, not just the final outcome, and even learning to be okay with those plateaus where it feels like your progress is stalled. I absolutely love this quote from Seth Godin. It's such a powerful reminder to protect your own focus. The world will always, always try to fill your calendar with its demands. True freedom is choosing to honor your own inspiration when it decides to show up. So what's the big takeaway here? We can't turn back the clock. We're not going back to the simpler world of shoulds. The burden of coulds is our modern reality. So the goal isn't to escape it, but to learn how to navigate it with intention, with presence, and with focus. Which brings us right back to where we started. We are in the zoo. The cage is made of infinite choice, and the bars are made of constant distraction. And yeah, it's really easy to just sit there and look out with longing eyes, dreaming of what could be. But the systems and the mindsets we've talked about, those are the tools to build a more meaningful life inside the zoo. They allow us to choose our focus, to cultivate mastery, and to find real satisfaction right where we are. So the final question isn't how to escape the cage. It's this: how will you choose to live within it?